The following program was produced by the United States Courts.
Hello, I'm Brigitte Lyles with the United States Courts. The federal judiciary trains all newly appointed probation and pretrial services officers in Charleston, South Carolina. Many of the scenarios officers face in training are based on real-life incidents. Javier Hernandez has more.
On September 22, 1986, U.S. probation officer Thomas Gahl made a routine visit to the home of Michael Wayne Jackson. Gahl, an 11-year veteran, was checking up on Jackson, who had a history of mental health issues. After the two men entered Jackson's home, neighbors heard shouting and then witnessed tragedy.
He saw the officer run out the door. Jackson followed him, firing a sawed-off shotgun into his back.
An 11-day manhunt ensued, ending with Jackson taking his own life in Wright City, Missouri. Here at the Federal Probation and Pretrial Academy, incidents like this are used to shape officer safety training.
We try to make our training, particularly the scenarios, evidence-based. And certainly in the forefront was the incident that happened to Thomas Gahl. We have a scenario that is very similar to that. And the officers go in and respond to a very similar situation. And they're actually graded. It's considered a practical exam.
The basis for many of these scenarios can be found in the Safety and Information Reporting System, or SIRS. The federal courts use SIRS to track dangerous or threatening interactions between officers and offenders nationwide.
This is a great learning environment in terms of the training and using those skills that we've learned in the classroom for a more dynamic, realistic approach. I'd much rather appreciate learning this in this safe environment as opposed to learning it in the field if something were to happen.
It's a great place for them to receive a foundation in training. Gives great exposure to the federal probation and pretrial services system. The safety training that they're provided is unparalleled to what they would receive anywhere else.
At a graduation ceremony this summer, the Academy honored Thomas Gahl and 3 other probation and pretrial personnel who died on the job. Officer Joseph DeLozer was killed by an accidental discharge of his sidearm. Marie Curtis, an administrative assistant, was shot and killed in her probation office by an offender. Charles Venz died in a car accident.
Their loss is not for naught. It is actually making our officers today more effective at ensuring their own safety, but also they can convey that knowledge coupled with their own to officers in the future.
I think the security measures now are needed. You can't walk in now to any federal building, pretty much, without going through a metal detector, without having screening. And I think that my mother's death, in a very small part, contributed to the changes.
Because when he was a probation officer, there was absolutely no training at all for him, no safety training. So if his death can contribute to this kind of facility, it's a wonderful good thing.
And the students here understand that sacrifice, and we're glad to be a part of this special graduation.
I was very grateful of that. It shows us purpose of what we do, and to be a part of that was special.
Losing someone is already difficult enough, but to continue to talk about it and then use it as education for other people in that same position, I feel honored by that, and I think that I recognize it's a sacrifice for them.
The Academy staff revise their curriculum every year. From firearm safety to core duties to communication skills, everything is reviewed to make sure the training remains current and fresh. It helps them produce well-rounded officers who are prepared to work anywhere in the country. For Judiciary Now in Charleston, South Carolina, I'm Javier Hernandez.
Thank you, Javier. Last year, the Federal Probation and Pretrial Academy celebrated its 10th anniversary. Nearly 800 new officers receive training at the Academy every year. Reporting with the U.S. Courts in Washington, I'm Brigitte Lyles.